Imagine satellite cameras capturing something that shouldn't exist. A 1,500-acre construction site with over 100 cranes working day and night, digging massive holes deep underground, 20 miles southwest of Beijing. No official name, no public announcement, just guards turning people away saying nothing to see here. Sounds like a conspiracy theory, right? Well, it's real, it's happening, and U.S. intelligence agencies are calling it the most significant military construction project of the 21st century. They're building what's being nicknamed Beijing Military City, an underground fortress 10 times larger than the Pentagon, with bunkers designed to survive nuclear strikes. But this isn't China's first underground city. Beneath Beijing's streets already sits a massive Cold War-era tunnel network spanning 85 square kilometers, where nearly 1 million people actually live. And as you'll see, these two projects combined might reveal China's strategy for something much bigger. Today, we're going deep into how China built secret cities beneath the surface, the mind-blowing scale of these underground networks, and what they're really preparing for. Why build entire cities underground? Alright, so before we get into the jaw-dropping details of what's being built right now, let's talk about why China has been obsessed with underground construction for decades. Because honestly, most countries stick to building up, not down. Here's the situation. In 1969, at the height of the Cold War, tensions between China and the Soviet Union hit a breaking point. Nuclear war seemed not just possible, but inevitable. Chairman Mao issued a directive that sounds insane even today. Prepare to move half of Beijing's population underground if war breaks out. So what did China do? They mobilized over 300,000 citizens, including school children, to dig an enormous network of tunnels by hand beneath Beijing's city center. For 10 years, these volunteers carved out shelters, hospitals, weapons, storage, even theaters and silk factories, all connected by tunnels running 8 to 18 meters below the surface. The original plan was simple. If nuclear bombs fell, millions would evacuate into these underground cities and survive. The network allegedly connected every major landmark: Tiananmen Square, the Forbidden City, government buildings, military bases in the outskirts, everything. There were roughly 90 hidden entrances throughout the city, trap doors concealed in shops and homes, ready to swallow Beijing's population in case of attack. And here's the kicker: this wasn't theoretical. They actually built it, fully operational cities underground with everything needed for long-term survival. When the Cold War ended and the Soviet threat disappeared, these tunnels didn't get destroyed. They got repurposed. By the 2000s, landlords started illegally renting bunker space to migrant workers who couldn't afford Beijing's astronomical rent. Suddenly, nearly 1 million people, nicknamed the Rat Tribe, were living permanently underground in these Cold War shelters. Restaurants, barber shops, small markets, entire communities thrived beneath the streets. Dark, damp, no natural light, but rent was 1/3 the cost of surface apartments. Authorities eventually cracked down, closing many sections after floods and safety incidents, but even now parts of the network remain active, some converted into tourist attractions, others still housing residents, and some sections, nobody knows what's in there anymore. Which brings us to what they're building now and why it's making the Pentagon very, very nervous. The new underground fortress, 10 times bigger than the Pentagon, okay? Let's talk about what satellite imagery revealed starting in mid-2024. Because what China's constructing right now makes the old Cold War tunnels look like practice runs. The site sits in the Qinglonghu area, roughly 20 miles southwest of Beijing, covering approximately 1,500 acres. That's over 600 hectares of land being transformed into what analysts believe will be the world's largest military command center. To put that in perspective, if completed as planned, it'll be nearly 10 times the size of the Pentagon, the current record holder, Satellite images show over 100 cranes operating simultaneously across a 5-square-kilometer zone. But here's what's really wild. They're not just building up, they're digging deep. Massive excavation pits dot the landscape. Some analysts estimate these could go hundreds of meters underground. The depth and reinforcement suggest bunkers designed to survive direct nuclear strikes, even U.S. bunker buster bombs that can penetrate 60 meters of concrete. The construction officially started in mid-2024, though some prep work likely began earlier. By early 2022, satellite images showed the area filled with residential buildings and open land. By mid-2024, completely cleared, buildings gone, land leveled, construction in full swing. U.S. intelligence agencies have been tracking every crane, every pit, every tunnel entrance. Former senior officials told reporters this facility will likely replace China's existing Western Hills military complex, which dates back to the Cold War era. The new site offers something the old one doesn't: protection against modern precision weapons and next-generation bunker busters. But here's where it gets interesting. The Chinese government hasn't said a single word about this project publicly. No official name, no press releases, no acknowledgement it even exists. When reporters tried approaching the site, security guards blocked them, claiming it's a restricted military area. Local shopkeepers confirm nobody's allowed near it. Warning signs forbid drones and photography. The entire 1,500-acre zone is locked down tight. So what exactly are they building down there? Based on satellite analysis and expert assessments, a whole lot more than just bunkers. What's actually inside the fortress beneath? Beijing. All right, so imagine you're designing an underground city meant to function during a nuclear war. What would you need? Based on intelligence assessments and comparisons to similar facilities worldwide, here's what analysts believe is going into Beijing Military City. First, command and control centers. These would be the nerve centers where China's top military leadership directs operations during wartime. Think massive rooms filled with screens showing real-time battlefield data, satellite feeds, communication networks connecting to every branch of the military. The entire command structure of the People's Liberation Army could operate from underground. Second, leadership bunkers. Deep, reinforced shelters designed to protect President Xi Jinping and other top officials during a nuclear exchange. These aren't just concrete rooms, they're fortresses within fortresses, with multiple layers of protection, blast doors, radiation shielding, independent life support systems. Third, living quarters and support facilities. If this place needs to operate independently for months or even years, it requires everything a small city needs: dormitories for thousands of personnel, medical facilities, food storage, water purification, power generators, even recreational areas to maintain morale during extended lockdowns. Fourth, communications infrastructure. Hardened fiber optic networks, satellite uplinks, redundant systems ensuring that even if Beijing above ground gets destroyed, the command center below stays connected to China's military forces worldwide. And fifth, weapons coordination centers. Facilities for managing China's nuclear arsenal, which has tripled from around 200 warheads in 2020 to approximately 600 today. The bunker would need secure systems for authorizing and coordinating nuclear strikes if deterrence fails. Former U.S. intelligence officials have stated publicly that this facility's scale and characteristics suggest it's designed as a doomsday command post, the kind of place where China's military keeps fighting even after suffering catastrophic losses above ground. Now you might be thinking, okay, so China's building a really big bunker, but does it actually matter? That's where the timeline gets interesting. The 2027 deadline. Why this matters now. Here's the thing about this construction project: the timeline isn't random. China has set a very specific goal: transform the People's Liberation Army into a world-class military by 2027. That's the 100th anniversary of the PLA's founding. and President Xi has made it clear this deadline is non-negotiable. But there's another significance to 2027. U.S. military commanders have stated on record they believe China will be fully capable of invading Taiwan by 2027. Not that they will invade, but that they'll have the military capacity to pull it off if leadership decides to go for it. So here's what we're looking at. China racing to complete a nuclear-resistant command bunker by the same year they're expected to achieve the military capability to take Taiwan by force. Coincidence? Intelligence analysts don't think so. The bunker serves multiple purposes. First, it's deterrence, showing the U.S. that China has hardened its command structure to the point where decapitation strikes won't work. Second, it's preparation. If China's leadership believes conflict with the United States is likely, possibly over Taiwan, they want their command structure protected before that conflict begins. Third, it's a signal about China's ambitions and willingness to invest massively in war preparation. And fourth, it's insurance, ensuring that even in a worst-case nuclear exchange, China's leadership survives to retaliate. According to reports, the site is on track to be operational by 2027, the same year as China's military modernization goal, and the year U.S. officials believe Taiwan invasion capability will be ready. That alignment has defense planners in Washington very concerned. So what does all of this actually mean for the rest of the world? What this means when preparation becomes reality. Here's what's really happening. China isn't just building bunkers, they're preparing for a scenario where underground command centers become necessary. And that preparation itself changes the calculus of global military power. When one country demonstrates it can protect its leadership from nuclear attack, it reduces the effectiveness of nuclear deterrence. The whole point of nukes is that nobody wins, so nobody uses them. But if China's leaders can survive in bunkers, the calculation changes. Suddenly, nuclear war becomes something they might believe they could survive. This facility also represents a massive shift in how modern warfare might be conducted. Traditional thinking assumes you take out enemy leadership first. China's building a fortress specifically designed to make that impossible. Even America's most advanced bunker buster bombs might not penetrate deep enough. And then there's the sheer scale. Building something 10 times larger than the Pentagon isn't just about protection, it's about capacity. This suggests China expects to run extensive, long-term military operations from underground, coordinating forces across multiple theaters simultaneously. The fact that construction is happening now, openly visible on satellite imagery despite China's attempts at secrecy, indicates urgency. They're not building this as a backup plan for some distant future. They're building it because they believe the need for it could come soon. So where does this lead? What happens when military superpowers start building cities underground specifically for wartime command? When doomsday bunkers stop being theoretical and become operational? Honestly, we're living through the answer right now. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most secretive military projects currently underway, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video because trust me, we've got some intense topics lined up. And here's a question for you. If you could build an underground city anywhere in the world, what would you put in it? Drop your answers in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one.